Hello students. So in the previous class we have discussed that what are economic reforms and what were the factors responsible for the economic reforms. We have discussed that our Indian economy was on the verge of collapse and it was urgently required. These policies, these economic reforms were urgently required to save our economy from that crisis situation. So various factors were there. The fiscal deficit was increasing, prices were increasing, there was a disbalance in balance of payment, PSUs were not functioning, so everything was in a mess. So now to control that, certain policies, certain planning, certain reforms were urgently required. So now we will see certain measures which were taken, certain policies which were made by two important people. That was the then chairman of the planning commission, Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao. He was our prime minister also that time, and the then finance minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. So these two important people were behind these measures, these policies, who have saved our economy from this crisis situation. Now we will see what are the measures of the new economic policies. So all these measures are divided into two types. First one is the stabilization measure and the structural measures. So stabilization measures are the short-term measures. So these are the short-term planning made to control the increasing prices in the market, to control the inflationary condition of the market. See, so for these short-term plannings are known as stabilization measures. So stabilizing the economy in this crisis first, which is going haphazard, going up and down continuously, very frequently. So to stabilize these, stabilization measures are required. And the next one is structural measures. Now the economy which is destroyed almost, now to give it a proper structure, it will be the structural measures or the long-term measures. So now children, I will explain you these measures in a more better way through one example. Like, see, short-term measures and structural measures are to make the economy, to bring the economy in a proper condition. For example, आपको एक घड़ा बनाना है, ठीक है, मिट्टी का घड़ा बनाना है. मिट्टी का घड़ा बनाने के लिए आप क्या करोगे? पहले मिट्टी में पानी मिला के उसको एक प्रॉपर कंसिस्टेंसी में लाओगे, है ना. तो ये शॉर्ट टर्म मेजर हुआ. ये स्टेबलाइज करोगे उस मड को पहले आप, उसके बाद उस मड से एक प्रॉपर स्ट्रक्चर बनाओगे. सो स्ट्रक्चर को बनाने में थोड़ा ज़्यादा टाइम लगेगा. दैट विल बी अ लॉन्ग टर्म प्रोसेस देन mixing water within the mud. So when you will mix the water in the mud, you will stabilize the mud in a proper consistency. That will be your stabilization method. And when you will give a proper structure to your pot, that will be the structural measures. Now these structural measures are the long-term measures, and it aims at improving efficiency of the economy. It aims at improving efficiency. Have you heard about this word efficiency? Actually there are two words, effective and efficient. Effective means when something is done on time using all the proper resources available, then that is effectively done. Efficiently done is when you will do a assigned work in lesser time using lesser cost. That will be efficient. So we will make our economy efficient. Alright. So to make our economy efficient, the three policies were taken. These policies are the LPG policies. That is liberalization, privatization and globalization. Liberalization. Now we will see what is liberalization. So children, let us discuss about the LPG policies now. The first LPG policy is liberalization. Before studying liberalization, we will focus on this word liberal. Liberal means not very strict, easy going, removal of control. Alright, like sometimes you tell your teachers, ma'am, please be liberal while correcting our copies. Means what? What do you mean by that statement? That you are telling your teacher not to be strict while correcting your papers, right? So liberalization means making the control, losing of the control, reducing the control and restrictions. It means that removing all the unnecessary controls and restrictions from the economy. So it means that removing all unnecessary control and restrictions from the economy. Alright, now the things are made easy going. People are allowed to do more production work without all that restriction of the government which was there earlier. Alright, taxes were reduced, people can do more export and import, quotas and tariffs were reduced. Lots of reforms were made under liberalization. So before studying those reforms, we will see what are the objectives of adopting this policy of liberalization. The first objective is to decrease the debt burden. To decrease the debt burden. Children, in the factors we have studied that mounting fiscal deficit was one of the major factors for adoption of these economic policies. So mounting fiscal deficit means what? The expenditure in the government budget was increasing day by day and there was no sources of revenue. So अब गवर्नमेंट क्या करेगी? एक्सपेंडिचर बढ़ता जा रहा है और रेवेन्यू का कोई सोर्स ही नहीं है, तो ऑब्वियसली एक ही रास्ता है गवर्नमेंट के पास, लोन लेने का। और लोन वो किससे लेगी? फॉरेनर्स से, फॉरेन बैंक से, वर्ल्ड बैंक से। सो इतना लोन ले लिया गवर्नमेंट ने कि अब उसको चुकाए कैसे? क्योंकि घर से भी कोई प्रोडक्शन नहीं हो रहा है, कोई इनकम जनरेट नहीं हो रहा है। फॉरेनर्स तो वैसे भी नहीं अलाउड है कि इकोनॉमी में आके प्रोडक्शन करें ताकि फॉरेन इनकम आए। सो क्या किया? अब जब ये लिबरल हो गई पॉलिसीज, सो आउटसाइडर्स आने लगे, यहाँ पे कंपनी सेटअप करने लगे, टूरिस्ट आने लगे, यहाँ पे प्रोडक्शन बढ़ गया, इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन होने लगा। So government started earning revenues and gradually it started paying off its debts and the debt burden reduced. The second objective was to expand the size of the market. So before these economic policies, the market was confined between the domestic territories. No person was allowed to sell extra production outside. Exports were restricted. Imports were not there. So now the market is approachable. The foreign market is also made approachable to the people. Thirdly, it increases the competition among the domestic industries. Now more people will be inclined towards setting up industries because less number of processes are there. Less restriction of the government is there. So more people will try to set up industries and this will increase the competition among domestic industries. And last objective is to increase the imports and exports, which was very much restricted during before these economic policies. Alright, so these were the objectives of adoption of these liberalization policies. Now children, we will see that what all reforms have been done under liberalization, in which all areas these reforms were done. Industrial sectors reform was done, foreign exchange areas में reform हुआ, trade में reform हुआ, So there were various places where reforms were done. So the first we will study about the reforms under liberalization. So the first reform will be industrial reform. So we will see कि इंडस्ट्रीज में क्या रिफॉर्म हुआ, कैसे रिफॉर्म किया. पहला रिफॉर्म किया, लाइसेंसिंग सिस्टम हटा दिया. We have studied under the Industrial Policy Regulation IPR 1956 that for every private individual a license is compulsory. No matter what that person will produce, the license is compulsory. Now this licensing system has been removed. Now licensing is required for certain number of things, like it is required for alcohol industries, it is required for tobacco, it is required for chemicals, dangerous chemicals, it is required for arms and ammunitions, and it is required for explosives. So these are the 5 things for manufacturing of which still license is required. And other than these 5 things, license is not required for any kind of production. So licensing has been abolished. The second reform which was done was the contraction of public sector. Now we have seen that public sector, the PSUs were not functioning properly. So what was the method? To give it to the private sector. So there were 17 PSUs which was reduced to 3. And lastly, permission was given to these producers so that they can import the technology, they can import the capital goods from foreign country and can do their production in a better way, which was not allowed earlier. The producers were asked to develop their own technology in the country itself and produce, but now they are allowed to import the capital goods as well as technology, machineries to improve their production. Alright. After industrial reform, we will see the financial reforms which have taken place. So, what all were done under financial reform? Firstly, the role of RBI was changed. Role of RBI. Previously, before the new economic policy, RBI was acting as a regulator of the economy. It was deciding all the ratios, what was the foreign exchange rate, how much import will be done, how much export will be done. All these was decided by RBI. But now its role has been changed from regulator to facilitator. It is only helping all the financial institutions and the government in the financial matters. And secondly, it has reduced the ratios like the statutory liquidity ratios, the cash reserve ratios. All these ratios were reduced so that more people are inclined towards taking loan and they must invest it in various projects. And lastly, deregulation of interest rates. All the interest rates fixed by banks and various authorities on various assets and on loans and deposits now were not every time seen by RBI. It is decided by banks also. Now, after financial reforms, fiscal reforms were made. Fiscal reforms related to tax. As I have told you, budget, revenues and expenditures. So, in these, the revenues, the sources of revenues were decided. The tax policies were decided. So, various tax reforms were made. Direct and indirect taxes were decided. What will be the direct tax? What will be the indirect tax? From what all sources indirect taxes will be taken? Direct tax will be the income tax. How it will be collected? It will be collected through progressive tax system. Progressive tax system means more is the income of a person, more will be the tax paid by the person. So this system of paying tax is called progressive tax system. So all these reforms have been done under fiscal reforms. Now the next reform was done under foreign exchange reforms. Children, we have seen in the factors, the very first factor was reduction in foreign exchange reserves. Imports were increasing and there were no exports. So India's foreign exchange reserves was almost finished. So to increase the foreign exchange reserve, these foreign exchange policy reforms were made. So the first thing to increase the foreign exchange reserve is to increase the export, because export is the only way to get the foreign exchange. So to increase the export, devaluation of currency was done. Devaluation of currency is deliberate reduction in the value of the currency. Like for example, previously $1 was equal to 60 rupees. Now after devaluation, $1 will be equal to 65 rupees. Yes? So this is devaluation of currency. The value of Indian currency will be reduced in front of the dollar. That means now more of Indian rupees has to be paid because its value has decreased. Therefore, more money has to be paid for $1. So this is devaluation, and this is done deliberately, not because of any market function it has been taken place. It is done deliberately. The value is reduced. So now devaluation increase. Okay. So now $1 is equal to 65 rupees. Now this is done deliberately. Now this deliberate reduction in the value of the currency, which is also called devaluation of the currency, increases export and reduces import. Let us see how. See, previously for selling something for 60 rupees, we were getting $1. The foreigner has to pay us $1. Now, for selling the same thing which cost 60 rupees, the foreigner will pay us less than $1. Now, why? Because now $1 is equal to 65 rupees. If the foreigner is buying anything of 60 rupees, it will pay less than $1. So, this means exports have become cheaper. Exports have become cheaper. And on the other hand, it increases the prices, it makes the import expensive. See how? If we were buying anything that costs $1, we will have to give 60 rupees earlier. Now after devaluation, for the same thing which costs $1, we have to pay 65 rupees now. So it is making our imports expensive. So this will discourage imports. So imports are becoming expensive. So it will discourage exports and discourage imports and encourage exports. So because of this, the devaluation of currency is done. And due to this devaluation, we have managed to increase our foreign exchange reserves. Now the next important reform which was done under liberalization was for trade and investment. Trade and investment reform. What all has been done under this trade and investment reform? Firstly, removal of quantitative restriction on imports and exports. Now, what is this quantitative restriction? Firstly, the government has fixed quantities that only this much quantity can be exported or imported. Alright, a quota was fixed that the importer and exporter cannot import or export more than that permissible quota. And now those quotas or quantitative restrictions have been removed. Secondly, removal of export duties. Children, last year we have studied under export procedure that exporters need not pay any kind of tariff, any kind of export duty. So this export duty has been removed, completely swiped off. No duties have to be paid on export, and import duties were reduced. Import duties were reduced. Now, lastly, relaxation on import licensing. Previously, importers have to do a lot of paperwork to get license for import. Now, those policies have been relaxed. Relaxation in import licensing system has been done. So, all these reforms, industrial reform, foreign exchange reform, then trade and investment reform, all these reforms were done for liberalization policy, under liberalization policies, and we have managed to improve our economy to a greater extent. This was the first economic policy of liberalization. Now, next class we will study about the other two reforms, that is privatization and globalization. Thank you.